The brain functions optimally when a child feels safe. And I'll teach you why, okay? So old discipline relied on fear. But my discipline relies on love. Remember my go-to question? What's the go-to question? What would love do? Okay, we're not doing fear. We're doing love, and I'll teach you why. This is a little slow. Okay, this is World According to Barb. The world according to Barb is everything comes from either love or fear. Ready? Love or fear. One more time. Love or fear. What happens when a person goes into the fear mode, this little stem part of the brain, remember that cerebellum? I was telling you about that fight, fright, flight, autonomic reflex. That gets turned on. This part is so powerful that when this little part of your brain, the stem's turned on, the rest of your brain's turned off. One works only at a time. This one's so powerful. When you're in the fear mode, there's only 4 things a person can do. Attack, get defensive, lie, or run away. Is that where you want to be when you're disciplining a child? No, not unless you want to teach them to be fearful and attack, get defensive, lie, or run away. No. I do not deal with kids when they are in the fear mode. And I don't deal with adults when they're in the fear mode, because unless I want to get attacked or have them get weirdly defensive. How many of you know adults who live in the stem of their brain? They are either very attacking or they're constantly defensive. How many of you know adults that are like that? Yeah. Do not engage. So if you're in the fear mode, do not engage children. If a child's in the fear mode, do not engage them. That's why you create the safe place. How many of you did your homework and created the safe places in your houses? Alrighty. I will expect then that you come to the classes, because I find that even one time people don't really get it. You kind of have to do this stuff. Yesterday, I taught 2 classes yesterday, but in the class, was it the morning class? I think it was. Somebody said, you know, I did this stuff and it really, really works. And I said, yes, it really, really does. This stuff really, really works. I can give you the tools, but you are the ones that have to implement it. You're the ones that have to kind of change how you think and how you are and what you do. So creating emotional safety for kids is really critical, so I create a safe place. And I use a safe place instead of timeout. Okay, I'll send them to the safe place where they can calm down. Remember how I taught you to teach them 4 composure techniques? Right? What's people's greatest fears? We talked about fear in class last night. What's people's greatest fears? Two biggest fears of all people. Abandonment, yeah, and rejection. When you put kids in a timeout, they kind of feel what? Abandon and rejection. When you put them into the safe place, you create safety. Language creates concepts in children's brains. That's why when you discipline a child, I'm going to ask you to use the language of safety instead of the language of fear. Instead of, just wait till your dad gets home. Okay, is that a love-based or a fear-based thing? Yeah. Okay, if a person's in the fear mode, what are the only 4 things they can do? Attack, get defensive, lie, or run away. That's not a good place to be disciplining. It's not, and I won't work with the kid when they're like this. I got to get them out of this mode. Otherwise, another thing too, when kids are like emoting, let's say they're tantruming, is that a good time to discipline them? I see people doing this. You're not listening to me. They can't hear you. Don't bother. Lot of discipline is about timing too. Used to be thought that children were like dogs. Okay? They pee on the floor. If you don't wipe their nose in it that second, oh, you have missed this learning opportunity. Well, that is not true. Children have memory. You say to them, hey, remember when? And they do. Okay? Number 1 determinant of whether discipline is effective or not is if we're calm and they are calm. You've got to both be calm. If a kid's real upset, is that a good time to talk to him? Okay, you're super, super upset. Let's say you're super, super upset. that a good time to talk taxes? Gosh, the 15th's coming up. Have you is that a good time? No, it isn't. I'm sorry. Same thing with kids. Don't try to teach them something if they're super upset. You got to get them calm. How do you get them calm? You take them to the safe place. Okay, when you're in the love mode is when you're in the cortex of your brain, right? This is where you get to choose how to act instead of react. This is where I want you to be when you're going to discipline a child. I want you up here. And if you need to give yourself that breathing room or that breathing space to get up here in your brain where you can choose how to act, and you might even have the wherewithal to say, what would love do? Okay? Instead of attacking them. Right? Much better. Okay. Everybody know the world according to Barb now? Love or fear? Fear-based acts rob your child of not only their dignity but their self-worth. Okay, how many of your parents used embarrassment or embarrassed you? Yeah. How'd that feel? Not good. Don't do that to your children. Do not do it to. I will tell you this, though. Sometimes when your kids get older, I was working as a counselor. I was working for the City of Tempe Social Services, so I was a prevention counselor, and I was at two high schools, Tempe High and Compadre. And so prevention counselors I am a certified guidance counselor, but they don't do the guidance counseling stuff. They work with suicide ideation cutters, eating disorders, that kind of stuff, right? So I'm at Tempe High, and my daughter said to me, because she was attending Tempe High, so she said to me, Mom, don't do anything to embarrass me. I said, how many of you have gotten kids where it's gotten to the point where you're just alive and breathing, that could just embarrass the hell out of them? So I said to her, what constitutes embarrassment? Does saying hello? Shall I just pretend I don't know you? What would work best for you? So I told her, I assured her, I said, you know what? I am really not going to interact much with you or, So the very first day, I had to go get a kid. Now, of course, I knew her schedule. It was an AP physics class. There's only one. I had to go get a kid. I know it's her class. So I had to go into the class and get the kid out. And I walked in the class, and she's like slinking down. And I'm just like, whatever. Anyway, so I go get the kid. And, so anyway, it was kind of nice because I knew a bunch of the kids in there. And they're all like, hi, Barb, hi, Barb, hi, Barb. They were all like kind of friendly. And then pretty soon she just, she was okay because, I guess it didn't. So later on, I will tell you this. This was the cherry on top of the cupcake for my day that day. She said, you know what, Mom? Your outfit today was okay. I was like, oh, thank God that my outfit today did not cause my daughter some embarrassment. The fashion police. Thank God. Okay. The next thing, humiliation. Do not do this. Shaming, blaming, humiliating, shaming. My parents did this a lot. Instead of looking at mistakes as opportunities to learn, because that's what mistakes are. How do human beings learn? Sorry. We learn from making mistakes. That's how, well, hopefully we learn. And don't make the same ones again and again and again, because the universe will give you lots of opportunities to learn, and you can repeat the same thing so you can learn from it. But we all learn from mistakes, and kids do too. But when I made a mistake, it was like, who did it? Who did it? Well, of course, it puts you in the fear mode, doesn't it? So what are you going to do? Lie. Okay, let's not do that to kids, okay? Because kids say to me, I'm going to do a whole class on lying. It's not this one coming up, but I do a whole one on lying and what to do. But anytime you shame or blame a kid, it will put them in the fear mode, attack, get defensive, lie, or run away. Okay? And emotional isolation. How many of your parents actually withdrew their love and approval from you if you didn't do what they wanted you to? What, I'm the only one? Really? I'm the only one whose parents did that? Yeah. Okay. How about grounding? Yeah, grounding. Or brute force. How about brute force? Yeah, my dad actually drilled, it was like a paddle. It was a wooden paddle, and he drilled holes in it for better wind velocity. Yeah. Well, that stresses the system and throws somebody into the lower brain functioning, the cerebellum, the fight, fright, flight. What four things can a person do? Attack, get defensive, lie, or run away. Do you want to put a kid in that place? No. No, you don't. So we got to learn a different way to discipline. So here's what we got to do. Got to get ourselves calm and out of the stem of our brain. We do that through what? Breathing. That's right. Get the kid calm and get the kid out of the stem of the brain. How do we do that? By breathing. We teach them the balloon. Everybody know the balloon composure technique? Ready? Everybody do it with me. Ready? Okay, we teach kids how to change their breathing, but we have to do it by a game. Blowing bubbles, blowing a pinwheel, but a lot of times you don't have props. You got to go with my balloon. Okay, get the kid calm, get us calm. Now we're both calm. This is how I teach kids too. I teach them to say, I'm safe, because you know what you need to turn off this cerebellum, this fright, fight, fight mode? You need safety. So you say, I'm safe, and then that puts you in the limbic system. What regulates emotion? Breath. So you say, keep breathing. You can't just say keep breathing, though. You actually physically have to keep breathing. And then that puts you up here in the cortex, and then you tell yourself the truth. I can handle this. There have been times when I have, as a parent, said, I'm safe, keep breathing, I can handle this. How many of you felt that a little bit as a parent? How many of you have recognized that being a parent is kind of like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? The highest highs and the lowest lows, right? And it's a lot tougher than you thought, isn't it? Okay, so I got to tell you a happy story about I'm safe, keep breathing, I can handle this. When I was working as a counselor, I was working with emotionally disabled kids. These are kids that were hurtful to self and others, 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. And they take them all, because they've been kicked out of the other school, so they take them all to one school and put them together in one classroom. Yeah, who thought that up? Not me. Not a good idea. Anyhow, so as I'm kind of working with these kids and giving them I have taught them, I'm safe, keep breathing, I can handle this. And I taught them how to handle their emotions, right? So that they don't act. All kids are going to act out physically. And then they'll move to the verbal, and they'll call you a poop head, and you'll go, oh my God, this is so great. It's just like what Barb said. They've moved from the physical to the verbal. They're just moving right along. But then we've got to teach them, we got to teach kids how to say how they feel in a non-hurtful way. But again, I know grown-ups who can't do that. So, you know, the kids haven't been on the planet that long, so we've got to work with them. And somebody said, how many times do I have to go through this with my kid? How many times do I have to say this? And I said, until they get it. Right? And some kids that's sooner, some kids that's later, but a lot of it is how we are when we're doing it with them. Okay, so I go back to this school. It had been 5 years since I'd been a counselor at this school. A close friend of mine, Karen Stone, was a kindergarten teacher at that school. And so I came in to give another teacher that I had mentored my early retirement fund. You know, we all put $1 in when the Powerball gets over 100. And if they all retired and I didn't, it would be sad for me. So I make sure that he has the money. So anyway, I'm over there giving him my early retirement fund, and I sit down in a reading group with Karen Stone's kids. And she said, when reading is super, super hard, because, you know, reading is hard for a lot of kids. And now, do they expect them to read even earlier? Yeah, by the time they're done with kindergarten, they better have all of the phonetic system down, but they also have to know, like, 50 sight words, right? Okay, things have really changed. Well, anyway, it's kind of hard for some kids, because some kids don't really break code until they're about 7 or 8, so it's kind of tough. So anyway, she's working with a reading group, and she said to the kids, she said, what did I teach you to do when it's real hard and you get kind of scared and you think, oh, gee? And they all said, you told us to say, I'm safe, keep breathing, I can handle this. And it warmed my heart that that was still going on 5 years later. I want you to teach yourselves this. I've actually used this even just shortly on the way over here. I was running just a little later than I like to. And so I said to myself a couple of things. I said, first of all, I'm safe, keep breathing, I can handle this. And then I said, they never start without me anyway. So, right?